Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are tuned into the 14th Leadership Skills Development Summit. Thank you so much for joining us on the final day. As I promised, it's going to be jam-packed with amazing content for different industries. We're about to embark on a panel discussion, and our theme is as follows. As populations increase, it is important that youth of today and tomorrow own the skills they need to build a competitive and resilient agricultural sector. So we are talking agricultural sector, food security, food sovereignty. How do we ensure that there's an equilibrium between food productivity and consumption as well? And I look forward to engaging in this discussion because this is one of the most lucrative industries in the world, in the country, in the continent, and it has the highest GDP contribution. Okay, with us, we have joined, and some of our panelists will be tuned in. We have Precious Greehy, who's the Regional Gender Inclusivity and Youth Advisor at Solidaridad Network. She will be joining us soon. We have Nontekozo. I hope I said it properly, but it looks like it's spelled differently. So I'll go with Nontekozo Ngcobo, who's the manager at Midlands Entrepreneurship Center. We also have Dr. Michael Charles, who's the head of Southern Africa Cluster, IFRC, Southern Africa. We have Wandile Sihlobo, who's the chief economist at Agricultural Business Chamber of South Africa, which is known as AgriBiz. We also have Wynand Esbach, who's the Chief Operating Officer at Agri Colleges International. So since we have Wynand and Ngcobo here, I think Wynand will start with you and we can kickstart our panel discussion. Welcome to both of you.
Morning, Tabang. Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So Wynand, perhaps you can just introduce yourself and also your organization, as well as one or two sentiments about the agricultural sector, particularly where youth participation is concerned.
Yeah, well, thanks, Tabang. So like Tabang said, I'm Wynand Esbach. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Agri Colleges International. We are essentially an online educational institution operating in the agricultural field. And for those of you that have come across us previously, we have been going since 2016 when the company was established. And our main drive is to make agriculture cool. And we have been quite successful in what traditionally everyone said to us, there's no way that you can teach agriculture in an online environment. I think if COVID, the pandemic taught us one thing is that you can do anything in the online environment. We've been doing it since early 2018, where we're presenting very practical elements in an online environment in a blended model, and very successfully so, with over 1,000 students at the moment, students and alumni from 30 different countries across the world. And what's nice about it is the reach that we've had into rural areas, where people just literally need a mobile device and access to a connection, an internet connection, and they can download and they can study. So we've brought the opportunity to the youth, and we are firm believers that by educating the youth of tomorrow, but also the people already in the industry, we can have a huge impact on becoming self-sustainable in communities and having a great reach into what traditionally is seen as rural areas where we want to have that impact.
Thank you so much, Wynand. We look forward to engaging further on some of the points that you have mentioned. Ngcobo, Nontekozo?
Yes, Tabang, hi. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Yes, thank you so much, colleagues. And my name is Nontekozo Ngcobo from the Durban University of Technology Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, based in the Midlands campus. Just to give a short brief on what we do as the center, we offer both the theoretical and practical, technical, entrepreneurial support, learning, and other activities, including exchange programs to our students and alumni and also local communities. And amongst other activities of the center is the creation of the Agri Hub, which has been identified as one of the core programs already in order to drive the economic growth within our communities and also in the province. The establishment of this hub, of the Agri Hub, came in when, provide the service to the students, the entrepreneurship support, the mentorship. But we realize that when it comes to particularly to the Agri Hub space, the students are passionate about agri, but the technical know-how of the agri sector, it's not there in as much as our students are exposed, because the majority of our students, especially in the province of KwaZulu-Natal or in South Africa, are somehow exposed to the agri the way our parents are doing it. But turning that exposure into business is the one that's been lacking. So now we realize that we're offering this business support, the mentorship, and everything, even mobilizing funding and facilitating markets on behalf of the student. We realize that if we don't balance a polishing of the skill and the management of the business itself, that business won't be sustainable. And so now we introduce this wing, which is the Agri Hub wing, amongst other practical learning spaces, like we have the Tech Hub being established as well, especially in this area or in this campus where we located right in the heart of the community of Edendale, Imbali, and the Midlands area. So the establishment of the hub came in right about because of the need, and also the knowledge creation, the knowledge transfer in the agri sector being limited to these young people. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ntokozo. Thank you. Precious, shall we go to you? Please introduce yourself, your organization, and your sentiments regarding the current theme that we're discussing. Hi, Precious. Precious, I'm not sure if you're on mute. Hi, Precious, can you hear me? Okay, whilst we wait for Precious, maybe can we go to Dr. Charles?
Yes, good morning. Good morning. Thank you very much for having me on this. I'm really, really excited in terms of the conversation. So my name is Michael Charles. I am the head of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. It's a membership organization, and we are 192 members globally. That means in 192 countries, there is the Red Cross, Red Crescent movement. So here in South Africa, we have the South Africa Red Cross. My portfolio covers 10 countries in Southern Africa, and really excited to be part of this dialogue in terms of how we operate when it comes to agriculture and the youth. I think for me it is really pertinent as we're able to bridge the gap. And we see a lot nowadays that our youth are not willing to go into agriculture. So from our perspective, we're seeing how we can make agriculture more attractive to the youth. Really starting at the grassroots level and making sure that we see the benefits of it. Currently I'm actually in Richards Bay in KwaZulu-Natal, where we have funded a project, and we'll be going in a couple of hours to the field, where we have been able to support some backyard gardening, support families when it comes to agriculture and livelihoods, and really excited in terms of taking the conversation forward. Obviously, there's a lot of innovation that we need to link into this in terms of youth, agriculture, livelihoods, innovation, the digital divide, and really looking forward to bringing examples of what we are doing into the discussion. So I think I'll stop here, Taban, and hand back to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Charles. Thank you. That is well noted. I think I'm going to try to go back to Precious. Precious, are you with us? I know you are here, but just unmute yourself and let's see if you're audible. Okay. I think there's still a technical challenge there with Precious. So what I would advise then, Precious, is that just log off and try log back in with the same link. Okay, thank you so much to our panel for joining us. I think perhaps let me start with Vaynand, just on asking about some of the aspects of agriculture, which Dr. Charles has briefly touched on. How is your institution or your college incorporating more young people into the agricultural sector? I mean, never mind with the fact that we want to make it fashionable and we want them to participate, but is there an appetite? So just take me through some of your initiatives on how the institution has incorporated more youth into agriculture.
Yeah, thanks, Tabang. I relate completely to what Dr. Charles said, and I think the key here is that very quickly our youth have developed into this, almost going to call it an army. They've developed into an army of people that know what they want. They are very sure about themselves. They're very sure about their futures. And one of the things that they take a lot of pride in is their ability to look after themselves. It's a great aspect that has developed out of this generation of people that we all like to refer to as Generation X and Generation Y and ABC and whatever we want to call them, but they are actually the generation restoration. We often refer to them as generation restoration. They're taking matters and they're running with it, and they growing their own food to a very large extent. And it's unbelievable the inquiries we're getting from schools to come and address their grade 10s, 11s, 12s on the future of agriculture and how they can get involved in agriculture. What we have seen is that the whole land aspect can be kept out of it. We don't need to go there. That we will leave to whoever needs to deal with that. But the youth out there are so interested in growing their own food and being successful at that and looking after their communities and standing out in their communities. One of the projects that we're involved in is specifically looking at sort of impact funding from Europe and bringing it into community development in agriculture. And through this, we spent the last 6 months identifying projects across Africa, not just South Africa, but across Africa. And the people we get to meet is so diverse. And the most amazing part is that they vary from between 19 years of age and 35 years of age. And they're running these very successful community projects, growing fruit, growing vegetables. We were in Thohoyandou Venda area the other day, and unbelievable impact of agriculture there is mind-blowing. You drive through those rural towns, and instead of having lawns and things outside their houses, they all have vegetable gardens. They're huge patches of vegetable gardens with fruit trees everywhere. That's the impact that agriculture can have in a community. The youth itself, I think we are blessed to have this opportunity for them to take matters into their own hands. And what better way to do it than with a link to technology? Believe me, there's this talk about bridging the digital gap. You will be surprised when you get into the arena that we function in. The ability of our youth to function on technology is unbelievable. The connectivity, yes, data is expensive, but most of the people get around that by utilizing Wi-Fi hotspots. Government has gone a long way to bringing Wi-Fi hotspots to municipalities, to libraries, to a lot of the restaurant groups have Wi-Fi at their facilities. So through these things, we're really having an impact in agriculture with our youth. And I think that's what makes it so exciting for all of us, is that we can really get involved and take agriculture and food security to the next level by educating the people.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Nontekozo, may I ask you to come in there just on, as an entrepreneurship center in the region of KZN, where we know there's a lot of arable land and greenery and so forth. South Africa is richly blessed with that. What are the challenges that the youth have encountered, just in your experience with working with young people at the center?
Thank you so much, Tabang. And I was just acknowledging what Wayne was saying, and also Dr. Charles, on the youth not being interested in the agri. So one of the biggest challenges the youth is seeing, in as much as the youth has the exposure in agriculture, but they look at it as this hard work, old-fashioned kind of a thing. And yet this is what is accessible to them, what's within their means. When our approach, when we talk to our young people in the entrepreneurship programs, is that it's first look what's within your means. What do you have right there? Others will say we have a land at home, but why are you not utilizing it? So it's more or less the same challenge of the agriculture being disregarded by young people. But our modern now, our approach to it was that let's introduce the modern agriculture, because they do want to produce their food. They do want to save money. They do want to make money, but they want this thing appealing to them. So we said, let's introduce the modern agriculture, which is something that involves a little bit of technology, something more neater, something that has a less stress on land and its maintenance, and yet having high yield production outputs. So we started with the project of setting up the tunnels, setting up the nursery, just to encourage the youth to see this thing appealing. And from that approach now, with the hub that we have as a university, where student comes and be part of it and seeing other young people, it looks fashionable to them now. Now that we have this setup, which is much more cleaner, and it's producing and it's giving money, they can calculate, because the young people are very calculative. They can calculate, when we talk numbers, that, this tunnel is going to produce so much and we're harvesting so much a week or so much a month. They get attracted and they want to hear more. So that's the approach that we started, and we encourage them that, you are coming with me to the market to negotiate with the market. I took them to one of the local supermarkets by here. And we got the deal right there and there. Our young people like money. They said this thing is easy. So the presentation, I think, as institutions, we do need to look at the presentation and how we navigate, because especially dealing with young people with so much exposure through the internet and seeing so much. But if they see this thing looking attractive to them, it makes things much a bit easier. But one of the disadvantages with our precision agriculture, modern precision agriculture or modern agriculture, is the high startup cost, which it has, and a little bit of high maintenance cost of equipment, like to set up a tunnel, a 10 by 30 tunnel. It's not like just planting on the field, the undercover farming. It's slightly expensive to set it up. But
Sure.
once you address those challenges, it becomes a little bit much easier for the young people. So some of our services include, apart from the just to make it appealing to them, apart from the crop farming, we have incorporated the agro processing, where they are indoor. We have this machinery, and they are processing, they process foods, they're processing vegetables, they can make their own yogurt, they can make their own mass. So such, especially for the young people, it seemed to be working for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, for me, that's self-sufficiency right there. Let's forget about teaching young people to be independent. Independence is like, the right to self-determination. It's when you have sovereignty like a state and you say, I don't want anybody to interfere in my affairs or anything that can challenge my statehood. But self-sufficiency is when you say, I can and I'm willing to stand on my own, however, not without the help of others. And I think that's what we need to teach youth to become. And just on that note, Dr. Charles, maybe you can come in there. Indeed, how do we bridge the gap? How do we ensure that young people are not wanting to have farms because it looks good on your property portfolio that you have a farm, but how can young people engage more in cooperatives, in coming together? If you supply bananas and oranges and another herbs, but we still have one farm together servicing the entire community, I think there's bigger opportunity there than when you are isolated. So you spoke about bridging the gap in your introduction. How can we do that better?
Thank you very much, Tapanga, and very interesting. And that's what we as the Red Cross movement try to do in terms of our various projects, really bringing the youth together, not as individuals, but really bringing them together in terms of this communal living and helping each other. In the spirit of Ubuntu as well, as we say in Southern Africa or in South Africa, I am because you are. So how do we coexist for our better good and for our community? And this is exactly what we do in terms of working at the very local community level in terms of getting communal plots and asking each of the members, the youth, to plant a different crop. So that at the end of the day, when we're harvesting, not only can we collectively feed ourselves, but we can also have enough to sell. So we are gradually moving upwards, and our model is to work through volunteers. And in South Africa, we have over 6,000 volunteers nationwide in the 9 provinces, and most of our volunteers are youth. So we're really trying to catch them young. We're really trying to move together with them and also learn from them in terms of what are their needs, what are their aspirations, and how can we ensure that we walk together in this journey. There is, the phenomenon of urbanization. So a lot of people moving from the rural areas to the urban areas. They come to the urban areas, there are no jobs, they're unemployed. And what we are saying is, you have land back home. Why don't you go home? Why don't we, support you with seeds, with tools, with the right techniques, so that you can start to have your own income and really live a good life. So our approach is to look more longer term, and we have a 10-year plan, which is what we call the Zero Hunger Plan, which is really looking at, if we look on the continent, and South Africa inclusive, most of the most of the farmers are smallholder farmers, and out of them, 70% are women. So we're really trying to encourage to see how best we support them in terms of giving them the inputs, giving them the technical know-how, linking them up with the digital divide, so that they can produce, not only to produce for their consumption, as I said, but to produce for them to sell. So this has a phenomenal ripple effect, because we see that from experience, if they're able to produce, they have enough income, then they'll have more say at home. And I'm talking about women. They'll have more empowerment to say and decide in terms of how they want to do and what they want to do. They'll have enough resources to be able to send the boy child, but also the girl child to school. And hopefully, in the next 5, 10 years, if we continue to do this consistently, we will see that, issues around gender-based violence hopefully will reduce because we are continuing to empower the women. So our focus is really on women, but also the youth. So really trying to combine both in a way whereby we will see results. But, this has to be done to scale, obviously. And, we're really looking at that partnerships to see how we can do it. I can give examples of in Lesotho and in Swaziland, where we have seen this and we followed, some of the community members, some of the youth, and through their efforts, they've been able to go to university. So we've really been following them for the past 10 years, especially those that, were born with HIV/AIDS or live with HIV/AIDS. We've been supporting them, and we're really been able to see the impact that we've made. So I think it's about consistency.
Yeah.
It's about partnerships. It's about really looking at the long-term horizon, and it's about how do we come together as a community, as a nation, to help each other in the spirit of Ubuntu.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Charles. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got 7 minutes left, and in the 7 minutes, I'm going to ask you a question, and as you answer your question, please incorporate your closing remarks there. My question is how, or rather, what does resilience mean in the agricultural sector? If, there's famine, or if there are locusts, just like what we've seen in, I think it was Kenya or Ghana most recently, and, seasonally and ecologically, it's harvest time, but there is no harvest because this could be drought, there could be, natural causes and so forth. As a young person in the agricultural sector, or as a young farmer, or even a farmer in general, what does resilience practically look like? And what does it mean for somebody who is listening out there? So I think I'm going to start with you, Vaynant. Please answer the question and incorporate your closing remarks, and then I'll follow through with the others.
Well, thanks. I think resilience in all respects are defined to a large extent by your ability to recover from setbacks, from disasters. And I mean, we've had many of these over the last year, but we've also had many of these over the last decades. And the ability of our youth, like I mentioned earlier, the generation restoration, if they can get up and put their hand up and say, here's an opportunity, this is agriculture, this is what agriculture can do for us and our communities. It links into a very large extent to what Dr. Charles and Nontekozo was talking about earlier. It's the ability to collaborate and to work together and create a community. And when we talk of a community, we're not talking about people living in the same area as necessarily a community. We're talking in this as a business, an agribusiness, where there's a joint hub. And that's one of the sort of things we regularly encourage, is to create a central hub where people can get training, where they can have a central tractor servicing the whole community, fertilizer depot where they can bring their product for export even, and having this hub as the center of this community. And the ancillary business that's created by all of this, you're looking at human resource specialists, financial experts, all the things that are linked to business. There are so many opportunities created by agriculture in various aspects of everyday life. And I think that's where the great opportunity lies, is to take hands, to work together, and to make it such a cool environment for our youth to collaborate in with each other and to work together, and giving them that bargaining power where you've got this group of people that has product, and not just one with a few cabbages. All of a sudden they have the bargaining power to go to the markets and say, no, but we insist on having better prices because our products are X, Y, and Z. And I think this is the whole opportunity for us. And then in closing, I would say education goes hand in hand with all of this. And if there are anyone out there that would like to learn more about agri-colleges and what we do and how we've impacted, please get in touch. We are looking for community projects and taking the hand with other institutions and organizations and walking this road together. We've come a long way in this journey, but there's so much more to be done. Thanks, Tabang.
Thank you so much, Vaynant. Absolutely profound, and we will be sure to follow through with your institution as well. Thank you so much. Can we have Nontekozo, Ngcobo?
Yes, Tabang. Thank you
Okay.
so much. Thank you so much, Tabang. I agree with Wayne when you're saying you create a bigger support, a bigger collaborate. I think for any business, not just for agriculture, collaborations are important, and not working in your silo, in your corner out there, but so that you're able to collectively foresee the upcoming challenges in the space that you are. The one thing that we're encouraging our young people is that be able to work together so that when there's a problem, you are able to also recover quickly as a team, because if you work alone, this thing will hit you so hard. Agriculture on its own, it's not easy. But if you join hands with the others, like understanding the value chain of agriculture and be able to identify the upcoming challenges for that particular year, you will be able to overcome quicker before a bigger loss. Loss is everywhere in every type of a business, but I think agricultural loss are even higher. So, but if you work as a team and also network and understand the value chain and connect yourself, incorporate yourself in that value chain, when loss come or when disaster come, that's where you need your resilience cap. To put it on and together with your peers, your colleagues in the space. So my encouragement as we close to our young people that, we had pandemic, we still have other things coming. We had other challenges coming. We already have existing challenges as a country and globally, but people are always eating. In as much we will forever be eating, let's look for this information. In as much we had pandemic last year, but we were eating. So the food is something that we can never go wrong with it. So let's try and get as much information. Let's be creative in the small spaces, whether you have big space or small space. These days you can work with whether small or big space, whatever that you have, whatever that is within your means, make use of it. Be creative, be innovative.
Sure.
Thank you, Tama.
Thank you so much, Ngcobo. You are right. We are forever eating. Yay! I think even in winter. wow, guys! If it's not butternut soup, how nice would it be to take the butternut from your garden and just blend it and cook it? If it's not chickens, it's this and that. That's why I've been with the Skills Summit for I think the past 5 years, and some of you have noticed, the weight fluctuates in different seasons. In winter, I'm chubby. It's the food. We are always
the agricultural sector. It's the agricultural sector.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nontekozo. Let's have Precious. Precious, we're so sorry that we didn't hear from you. However, just give us your thoughts and just a synopsis on the topic, and we'll take that as your contribution.
Hi, good morning, colleagues. I apologize with this load shedding. It's really affecting our communications, but I'm glad to be back on board. I'm sorry I missed part of whatever the discussions have been, and I take it this is the summary. From our side of Solidarity, we work regionally in Southern Africa, targeting young people who are not really mainstreamed in agriculture. For example, schools that really don't focus on agriculture. Our role is to open their eyes, opportunities that exist within the sector. So we work also a lot with rural communities, rural families, because that's where most of the young people that are unemployed come from the ages of 15 to 24. And when you look at mainstream interventions, these young people are usually neglected. So we target them with education, with skills, with all these interventions that are available in the urban setting. We package it and we bring it to them so that they are not left behind in terms of what's out there. So in short, for me, I think the advice that I would like to, I think this is the time where we're wrapping up. For young people, I think you are the next generation farmers. I see a lot in the communities we work with. Farmers are either 40 and onwards. The youngest is maybe 35 or something like that. But usually, when we talk about a farmer, we are looking at 60 and above. And young people are not really interested in farming. I don't know why, but our role is to really open their eyes to say, these are the opportunities that are available. And we try to bring these opportunities to youth, because also there's a lot of unemployment going on now with the COVID situation. It's even exacerbated unemployment, not just in South Africa, but regionally. And agriculture, has the potential to contribute towards eradicating unemployment, not just within young people, but across the board, whether you're a woman or a man, or whatever sector you work in. And young people also have the capacity to change Africa. We produce to export our raw products. I'll just give an example with our Ghanaian youth, because we also have a project in Ghana focusing on cocoa. You will not believe that in Ghana they produce cocoa and they export it as is to the Netherlands, and they buy it back as chocolate and other products. And there are no processing companies in Ghana that do chocolate. Everything is monopolized, and I never understood this.
Absolutely.
And this is the picture we have in Africa in general, where we plant, we produce, we are rich, we have sun, we have land, but yet we produce our raw materials, we ship them overseas. They come back 10 times even more expensive than they should. And it drives prices up. Nowadays we talk about food insecurity. Africa should never be seen as a food insecure continent. The poverty we see 80% of poverty in Africa, and we don't, with all the land, with all the natural resources we have, you ask yourself why? Because we need to now, young people need to be introduced we need to industrialize Africa basically, and young people have the capacity to do that. We have 60% of youth in Africa, this whole energy that other continents don't have, and we should be capitalizing on our youth to promote industrialization, process our own products here in Africa, create our own engineers, our own technical experts.
I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to come in there because we're out of time. We have to close it.
I'm so sorry.
So thank you so much. But relevant inputs there, especially the need to develop the tertiary aspect of our agriculture. Dr. Charles, please come in there. Just please conclude for us, literally 2 sentences, so we can close shop. Otherwise, I'll be fired before the end of day 3.
I don't want to be fired, so I'll make it really short. I really do agree with my previous speakers. It's about co-creation. We are in this together. We need to support our youth. I hope next year we will have the voice of the youth on a platform like this. At the Red Cross, we're also trying to create a platform where we have regular engagements with the youth, led by the youth. So in terms of agriculture and the youth, let's see more of that. And please hold us accountable as leaders. So this is really going out to the youth. Continue to hold us accountable, because you are the future of tomorrow. But what we do today really gives back in terms of what will happen tomorrow. So thank you very much for this platform, Tabang, and to the other panel members.
Thank you so much, Dr. Charles, and to everybody else. We certainly will keep in touch. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Ngcobo from the Midlands Entrepreneurship Center, Dr. Charles, Head of Southern Africa Cluster, IFRC Southern Africa, which is part of the Red Cross. And we also had Mr. Wynand Esbach, Chief Operating Officer at Agri Colleges International. And concluding for us with the bang was Ms. Precious Greehy,